Well, I am off to a number of places today. First to the barn. There's only a couple of horses left that I have to go with right now. Still, just usually what happens this time of year, we break the babies. Some of them can be a little stubborn. Some of them can be mean. We haven't had any mean ones. The one filly kicked me, but as I tell all our caretakers and I tell all of you that visit the barn, the stall is their domain, right? When they're on the cross ties, I want to make sure that they behave. We work towards getting them to a place where they're behaved on the track all the time. But when they're in the stall, yes, we'd like them to behave, but that's their zone also. And if they feel threatened in the stall, you probably put them in that position. And I did. I made a mistake with one of the fillies, and she made me pay for it. I'm fine now, and like I said, it was my fault. It certainly wasn't hers. But all the horses, including her, are doing their work very, very well now. A couple of horses just got to learn going to the track when they're on the track just to behave, what the surroundings are. And it's really it's a lot for them to take in, right? Whether it be a tractor or a water truck or the grandstand or the tote board, it's a lot for them to take in. So there has to be a learning curve, and it's different for every horse. So there's only a couple left I have to go with every day. I do want to get over to Ontario also. Many of you know we bought 2 horses yesterday. Really happy. I tell everybody, Patricia sent me a message yesterday and said, I always disagreed with you saying there's no value in Ontario, and there appears to be some today. There did appear to be some yesterday. But, it may be part and parcel to the overall landscape of horse racing. I know that yesterday I made a video and I said that there were a couple of breeders that said they thought Lexington was a little lighter than they'd expect, right? That top end, you just got to chop it right off, right? Because there's always going to be that crazy day one Lexington, top end farm vibe, right? You just chop that right off. And then when it comes to the rest of the sale, I didn't really notice. I thought that we got some good deals, but I didn't think there was only a very few horses where I would personally put them into the we stole that horse kind of bucket, and none of that matters come June of next year. So I was happy with how the sale went there. Now, I did, as I said, talk to a couple of breeders from the London sale that said that a little less traffic, whether it be on their site or literally on their farm, looking at horses, maybe a little less at their consignment. So they thought that maybe the sale was going to be down. Now, truthfully speaking, I didn't watch the entire sale. I had a lot going on yesterday. We only had maybe 9 or 10 horses to look at. Danny had given me a super in-depth look at what we had, like 25 or 30 over the 2 days to look at. And really, Danny's a nitpicker when it comes to the horses, right? Everything has to be perfect, which is wonderful. I'm not always that way, but between him and I, between what he's seeing, what he's telling me, and what I find acceptable, we usually find a dollar amount in there. And I can tell you that the 2 horses the dollar amounts that I put, and to be fair to the London sale, the dollar amounts that I put were pretty frugal, right? They usually are. And I was pretty near spot on everything that we looked at yesterday. The one horse that we had got for 25, the Trixton Colt, I really liked him. I loved his video. Amy said she thought he was a little close up front, which I don't necessarily always mind, right? I've seen horses that trot wide in the field and then attack their knees when you're training them. And a big, long, leggy horse like him, you have options, right? 1, he may not hit it all. 2, you can get him over his knees. And 3, there's always knee boots. So it wasn't I don't mind the horses that are a little more narrow up front that might touch your knees. The ones that really come at their knees, now that's a problem. That's a totally different issue. And we didn't find that with that horse yesterday. So Century Legion was his name. I liked everything about him. He is a big May colt, right? So it probably will help to train him down on Stutzman's 5/8. We'll probably tweak the way we train horses like him down this year also. And I always say that this is a beauty of the stable, is we don't run that cookie cutter operation where everything is done on a calendar. 240 on December 1st. I want to see them training in January, February. We don't do that. We assess and reassess all the times. That's one thing Danny's very, very good at also. Everybody, all our crew was, James was, Johnny, everybody understood what needed to take place. And if we had to adapt or amend our training schedules, then so be it. We just did it. So really excited about him. I had him priced at 27. We got him for 25. It was funny. Jason went out to lunch with us yesterday, and he's looking down at my catalog, and he says, "How do you come up with 27?" I said it's simple. I look at all the variables that I have, what the horse looks like, his breeding, his video, his catalog, like his catalog page, and then I just simply ask myself, what would you pay for this horse? And usually the number that pops into my head is the one that I write down. I don't argue with myself. I don't try to negotiate with my brain. 27 popped into my head. That's the number I'm willing to pay, and that's what I had priced the horse at. We bought him for 25. We were bidding on a muscle mass filly that Carl Jameson ended up getting later on, and I had 40 marked. But then after we bought the two horses, and I said, I really like the Result filly that we bought in Lexington. We paid 20 for her. I said, Danny liked her. She was a medium-sized filly, but he didn't love her. Didn't feel the same way about her that maybe I did even. And he said, I think you got her marked high at 40. And I said, well, I think that's probably what she'll bring. So put it this way. If you can get her for 28 or 30, maybe a little bit more, you go ahead. I think 40 is the number. But 40 is the number, but is 40 what we're willing to pay today? Is that enough of a deal to have me bid on the horse? I don't know when Danny was out, but he said he might have even been the underbidder on the horse. She did go for $38,000. He said, when they brought her out, I really liked her. Maybe I was a little hard on her the first time I had inspected her. And I said, that's fine. I'm certain we can get a trot filly. If we really need another trot filly, we can get one in Harrisburg. So we let that filly go. Now, I love this filly. Which one's that, Joe? Is that the big tactical landing filly? She looks nice, eh? She was good?
Yeah, she was
good. The last horse we bought was a pacing filly, and she was a knockout. Really, really nice filly. I was happy with her. There was a couple of horses that I told you guys yesterday fell into that must-have category, and that doesn't really mean must-have, but it's just one that we all thought, Amy and I and Danny all thought really, really fit the bill to what we were looking for, to what we wanted, and what we got. Socks, he looks good too. And the Shadow Play filly, I found her very, very interesting. The Shadow Play filly, Cleveland Masha, really nice looking filly. Just everything about her. She was put together perfectly. She wasn't too long and gangly and too tall or too heavy. She was perfect. And I liked the way Danny put it when I said, you like this one? He goes, absolutely. I really like this filly. He said, he said, and that's the other thing, is that Danny will do the same thing I'll do. Look at a horse and then maybe just keep an eye on that horse, especially at the London Coliseum. All the consignments are in kind of a confined area, right? There's this public viewing area in the front that everybody has, like their front yard that they use, and then you can utilize the back end also. So if you're standing in the main area, you can see what people are doing. And Danny said, I was just watching. Every so often I look over, and he said the buyers would have this horse out. He said, now I'm not going to name names. He said, but the same guys that are always the guys buying had this filly out. She looked every bit as good every time they brought her out. And I just thought, I had her marked at 34, I think, or 32, and we got her for 27. So both horses came in under what I thought they were worth, which I marked fair market. So in response to Patricia's email yesterday, yes, I do believe that maybe the London sale was a little more under control this year, but that might be across the board, right? Which only makes me a little more excited as we head into Harrisburg, although again, Harrisburg is going to be that shopping cart sale. Every year it is. What do we need, right? Do we need PA trotting fillies, Ontario trotting fillies? We won't need anything in Ohio. We have 20 Ohio breds. Kentucky, I tell you what, out loud right now, the one thing that comes to mind that I want a Kentucky sired trotting colt. Don't have any. We have PAN Kentucky. I'm talking about a Gymboree, a Love You, a Goo Goo Gaga, one of those horses. I would like a Kentucky sired trotting colt, and that's the first thing that comes to mind. There are others where maybe we have it every year. We have like 6 trotting fillies for Pennsylvania and 3 trotting colts, right? Something like that, just to smooth everything over, is what we're looking for as we head into Harrisburg. Now, aside from Harrisburg, we have a lot going on today. I'm going to, as I said, go with these 2 horses. I have time. I want to leave by 10 o'clock. Where is today? Today. There it is. 148 is Cutie Cumber. I believe she's my first drive. I got to double check because sometimes I get catch drives over there. So at the very least, I have to be over there at 12:48. So around 1 o'clock. So I can even stretch it here till 1 unless I have earlier drives. I'll look in a minute. So Cutie Cumber's got the rail. This is her last start for us. She's going to Harrisburg after this. I'd asked him just to shine her and horn player up and get them ready for the oh, that's Cash Deal's brother. Get them ready for the Harrisburg sale that's coming up. Obviously, you know, Swinging Senorita's in Thursday with the rail. She's 9 to 5. She gets 3 kicks at the Cat because that sale's November the 3rd. She races this week, next week, and I think the week after. The sale actually is like the 7th or 8th. Her last start in Indiana is the 3rd of November, so that works out very, very well. So Cutie Cumber's got the rail. You can be sure I'm going to drive her to win. I want to, not that I don't anyway, but I'd like to really put a decent mark on her. It's a bit of a cool day today, so that might be tough. If we can get the job done, we'll see. J.K. Mickey Mantle coming off a great mile and a week off. He should be razor sharp today. We'll see how he races. Man, that was a really impressive enough mile that I almost told Tim just to put Mike Wilder back down on J.K. Mickey Mantle. I almost did, and then I forgot to. We got there. Who's that one, Joe? Oh, yeah. No response. So J.K. Mickey Mantle, I'll go with. Stay close to the outside again, coming off a little bit of a tie-up and a little bit of mucus, but no blood found. So I might be a little more aggressive with him. If I look left and a couple of people are leaning off the gate a little bit, I'll probably go out of there with him. He raced okay from off the pace, but we ended up getting a pretty fortunate trip last week and didn't do anything with it. We'll see what we can do today with Stay Close. Brace for Landing. Super excited about this race today. Just something about this horse since the day we bought him. It just makes me feel like someday I'm going to open up a new gift and there's going to be a new horse there. And I'm just waiting for him to turn that corner. I think he is going to need a little rest at some point to fatten up. But I truly believe that this guy's a double down or triple down type horse. Now, you might look back halfway through his 4-year-old season and say, see, you were wrong. And it might be. I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again. But just something about Brace for Landing, and I just can't wait to see this guy today especially, but in the future also. I make my way all the way. That's what Jason was talking about. What a Mission is in tonight. He's got him back in to go Saturday. They needed a horse for the grassroots consolation, which really is just a really kind way of putting horses that raced anywhere not the grassroots, the fair, in any fair at all this year and is still in the state of Ohio and still functioning. We have a class for you in Northfield. Now, obviously looked upon a little more negatively today because he drew 8 on Saturday, but What a Mission in a good spot tonight. Little double duty this week for the little fella. He's in tonight at Northfield. What do we got? I think we got the 6-hole, don't we? Yeah, 6-hole, 9 to 2. It's turned into a tough little bunch, eh? I would think a horse like him would be a 9 to 5 horse every week in here. Well, we'll see how he races tonight. Halakai 3 raced great last week, 9 to 2 also, but I think that's more the 8-hole than anything else. Between you and me, I'm pretty sure she'll overcome that 8-post pretty quick. Although she doesn't steam out of there like a killer, but very impressed with this horse's mental, her attitude since we got her. Remember that first night I pulled the earplugs and she pulled up on me, and then her last 2 starts she's raced great, so I don't have to steam out of there with her. I think she'll race great from anywhere. She's really just turned into a nice horse. 5-fish Species racing today. Just a tremendous story. You know what I'd love to see? I'd love to see her have a strong fall and end up at Christmas time with 100,000 made, a couple of stake wins on her resume. As Jeff and Steve like to see the stake wins on there. I think everybody does. It's a joke going back to last year, talking about buying horses and how much people look at that broodmare's resume. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. I particularly don't, but that certainly doesn't mean that everybody doesn't. If I don't know the horse, I don't know the horse. I look at her mark, I look at the money she had made, maybe a little bit on the write-up underneath, but truthfully, does that write-up really sway me? If I read that write-up and I'm like, that's not enough. No, I don't think it would, but still, having the mare, having the filly, and being a part of 5-fish Species, I think it is important. You know, I would love to put her away with $100,000 made into her breeding season. She is going to be bred next year, and I think we'll probably work something out with the clients. The vast majority of the ownership is people that are going to breed her. So probably at some point there'll be a buyout coming for 5 fish species, I suspect, as we get closer to Christmas, because I would like to. I think she's sitting on 80 grand or almost 80 grand. Really racing at Yonkers for what's she racing for tonight? $18,000 every week. I don't think it's a stretch to see her get to 100 before the end of the year. A sliver of fashion, looks like he's dropping down in class. Coming in last week a little sick, and had bled a little bit training. Raced fantastic. I told you guys he finished 5th, which was the furthest back of any of our starters that day, I believe. And I really had mentioned that I thought he had raced as good or better than anybody. Now he's coming in at 2-1 from the rail. Probably going to be pretty useful tonight. We'll see how he races. Coupe de Ville has just been absolutely sensational the last little while. Very much like an Ohio 5-fish species in almost every aspect. She's going to get to 100 if she hasn't already. No, I don't think she did. She's going to get to 100 before a 5-fish species. She's taken a mark of 56.5. Very similar to her. 57-1 for fish, 56 and a piece for Coupe de Ville. They both had very similar years. 2-year-old season was so-so, a little stronger for Coupe than fish, but both have come out swinging in 2024. Both will become broodmares, and both are very, very nice fillies. And then we'll end up the night with Unique Style. 5-2 from post 8 might be a bit aggressive. Maybe. I'm not, I told you guys, I didn't love the way he raced the other day, but we're not making any changes. Sometimes when you open their toes up on their shoes and turn their shoes around backwards, it takes them a little bit to really get comfortable in them. And this is a guy that was interfering a little bit. Trotting-wise, perfect. Gait is completely cleaned up. Really, really happy with Unique Style. Not particularly excited about his depth at this point. I'd like to see a little bit more, but again, there was a little bit of sickness in this barn. Not a ton, but a little bit last week. Was he maybe a little sick? That's the only knock, is that, and Amy had said this the other day too, is that after the race, if we're racing later on in the card here, anytime after 7:30, we can't get the horse a scope. There's no vet here with a scope. There's a commission vet here, but they don't have a scope. They don't do scopes. I wonder if I should just go up and ask them, would it be beneficial if you brought a scope? We would give you business if you brought a scope. I don't know the lady. I believe it's a lady. Might be worth going up and saying that to her tonight. I don't know. I'm not familiar with her. Maybe she just is a vet. Maybe she doesn't have a practice or a scope or stuff like that. But if she has a scope, there's money to be made, because I can't speak for every trainer here, but I can guarantee you there'd be plenty of times that we would use it. So that is today. Tomorrow is all the exciting stuff also. Really excited to see Delicious Stone. We entered How the Hell on Friday. Because I told you guys I want to be here to race him. I can't take another break at the gate. I'll blow a gasket, and the class didn't go on Friday. But Delicious Stone, I think, is a great fit for Chris Lems. We're fortunate we have a lot of good drivers to drive our horses, and I think Chris does a great job with the horses also. He always seems like, the thing I like about Chris is, and this is not to say that all of our drivers don't do the same thing, whether it's Mike or Dave or Aaron or Ronnie, everybody does a good job. The one thing I noticed about Chris is, when you explain, because he's a trainer also, when you explain to Chris, hey, this is what's going on with the horse, this is how I think he should be driven, it's almost like, boom, that's how he was driven. And a very underrated driver in Chris Lems. I thought he's done a great job with almost every horse he's driven for us. And happy to see him drive Delicious Stone tomorrow. Atlas Hanover, I see, is back in to go, so that's good. The one thing, Steel Cowboy. Got to get this guy on track. And, he's another horse that I wanted to drive. But I thought Ronnie did a good job with him, just overdrove him. And really, that's my fault. In all the stuff I told Ronnie, I don't want to give people too many directions with a horse. Most drivers, just leave them alone. They're professionals. Let them do their job. You like to give them a little bit of insight, and sometimes you can give them too much. And I just felt with Ronnie, I overloaded him with a bunch of garbage he didn't need to know. Here's the scoop on the horse. He can get a little bumpy. Just go easy with him, and don't be worried about the steps he's putting in. He's safe. What I didn't tell him was, by the way, he's only raced twice in the last 2 months. He just wasn't ready for the trip he gave him. Now you're coming in on 2 weeks again. But I think Chris Lem's a good fit for this guy today. Just duck him. When you land fourth, stay fourth. that's kind of the way it'll be. But I'll reach out to him later. And then tomorrow night, Swinging Senorita. I was torn. Ronnie Wren was listed. I was supposed to be listed on the horse, but when Ronnie Burke had entered all the horses, obviously he just put Ronnie on all of them. And I didn't want to take Ronnie off. In fact, I'll tell you right now, Amy and I and the kids were going to go to Indiana because I want to pick. It's not very often that we're in a special position where we're racing a horse in the Breeders' Crown Elimination. That's 3-1. We've raced horses in the Breeders' Crown Elimination before, but they were never 3-1. They're always 10-1, 12-1, 15-1. Pickpocket's got a legitimate shot, right? And Carl and TCI are incredible animals, but none of them are perfect, and they're all beatable. And Pickpocket's coming in razor sharp right now. So if I can summon my best day at the track as far as a driver, and we get a shot to beat those horses, then there is a legitimate shot. He can, right? Usually I'll say, well, they won't trot away from him. They can, right? He can't trot 51, 52, but he can trot 53. He's already shown it, and I think he'll go back to 53 if he has to in Indiana. So he's not going to be far off the flank of those horses. He's handy at the gate. He's easy to use. Now, when it comes to the elimination, just get him in the final, right? Probably going to float out. I would imagine Aki's going to make front, slam the brakes on, and I'm going to follow him and end up, second or third. Maybe I'll beat him. But the elimination is not the final. So, anyway, we'll get to him in a second. Delicious Stone, excited to watch him. Atlas Hanover, Brett and Stacy have done a great job. But this guy's Brett back. Yep, Brett Miller's driving him, so he's back. 5-2, he's in a good spot. Steel Cowboy, what's his odds? 9-2, so he's in a good spot too. I'll talk to Chris about him. Swinging Senorita, as I said, I kind of felt bad saying no, I'll be there, but this filly, she's going to a new track with a new race bike, and I want to make sure that the hobbles are on her. So I'll set the hobbles this week. And if it turns out that I can't go back to Indiana, which I'm not going back down there all the time, Ronnie Wren's an exceptional driver. He'll do just fine with her. But tonight or tomorrow, I'm going to drive her. Tactical Mounds, excited to watch her race. She's 2-1 for Megan. Scotty's going to drive her. And then later in the night, again, got the 10 hole, but you're still 2-1. It's always encouraging when you draw the worst place on the track and you're still picked to win. So should be a good spot. He's got so much speed off the car, nothing but a dreamer. I actually think the 10 hole isn't that much of a deterrent for him. As they say go, you're going to see him coast down towards the rail, and James is going to be able to make his way to the front the same way he did in the elimination. As long as everything goes error-free, I think we'll be just fine with him. And then again, one of the more exciting drives of the year will be the elimination of the Breeders' Crown for Pickpocket, 3-1. That's such a great feeling. I know that a couple of our clients wanted us to bring Spitfire also, but my take on Spitfire is he's a long-term horse. We're going to have him a long time. I think he's got a lot to offer. We'll race him in the Pegasus and the Carl Erskine. And when it comes to tactical approach and those horses, he's just not quite there yet. That missing piece of the puzzle was that middle of the summer where he was down and out, and he made it back. The fact that he made it back and is where he is pretty incredible. Let's not keep pushing him. Let's let the horse grow at the proper rate. Really, what it came down to was the horse. What's best for Nothing But a Dreamer, and I felt that what was best for that particular horse was to not go to the Breeders' Crown elimination. I think that's a pretty solid. It was not cut and dry. It was not an easy decision. I deliberated for almost a week, but really when it came down to it, it was what was best for him. But he will be going to the Pegasus, and he will be going to the Carl Erskine. So we will see him in Indiana, maybe just not in the light or the race that we want to see him in. So with that, I'm going to let you guys go. I'll talk to you all very soon. A little video update for you today. Check out our horses. I guess they're going into the buckets. I'll work all that out. We got 2 new horses yesterday, 2 Ontario breds. I appreciate the help. I saw some of the bucket shares have gone. You guys know who's in the bucket right now. I think there is a little room in there, which we might be able to find that Ontario bred pacing colt or another trotting filly in Harrisburg. But as of right now, we spent $94,000 US into the bucket. We spent another $51,000 yesterday, so we got about another 20 grand or so for the bucket. No, we got more than that. We have quite a bit more than that. We have more than enough room for a trotting filly or a pacing colt in Ontario. So join us, and partner with us. The bucket's already mostly filled up, and you should be pretty impressed with what you see in there, because I am. We got 2 tremendous looking trotting colts in Gaslight Hall, Chicago Hall. We get that really nice Resolve filly. Happy with her. And then the 2 horses we picked up yesterday. Again, I thought value was there and talent was there. Real nice pages. Should fit in with what we're trying to do in Ontario for sure. So found some value, found some nice horses. Check both boxes for yesterday. So with that, I'll let you go. I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll talk to you all very soon. I'm off to the Meadows in about 45 minutes, maybe an hour and a bit to race there. Excited about what we have going on. Obviously, I'm a little partial, but I really want to race for Landon. So Wallop yesterday, I guess I'll finish with this. Wallop yesterday raced good, finished third. I did put him on gate. I just, to me, is he a layover in the final? No, but he can win it. He can also be fourth or fifth in it. So when it comes to the final of the Massachusetts Sire Stakes, are we going to be paid a little bit more for Wallop because he's racing in the final now? Keep in mind, and nobody's oblivious to the fact that he now has 7 wins. He can race up to 10 wins in the Meadows, 12 wins, I think, at Yonkers or maybe Dayton. And then he's an open horse. I don't mean an open horse. I mean an open condition horse. Or we can move him to Ontario and race him in that optional 50 claimer or 35 for 3 and 4 year olds. So we have options with this guy, but one of them was, first and foremost, let's test the free agency market. We'll see how that goes. He's not going to be given away either. I know what he's worth. I don't think it's diminished from the other day, so we'll see what happens with On Gate and Wallop this week. But he raced good yesterday. 5 wins, 3 seconds. Well, 11 starts, all 11 in the top 3. 7 wins and 4 seconds now, heading into his 12th start of the year. So I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Have a wonderful day. See ya.